Honestly, I feel like samples is an art when it comes to music. A lot of people will look at it as plagiarizing, but people don't understand the dynamics of taking a song that was already created and being converted into a whole new genre or being introduced to a whole new system of music when it comes to whether it's hip hop, R&B, reggae, soca, salsa, whatever the case may be. So I feel like a lot of people don't understand the history of a particular song and where it comes from, and it's just like gravitating towards something that's brand new out there, but not knowing the history. Honestly, it starts way back. I'm talking like way, way, way back. Like my grandfather was more so into like the calypso. Same thing with my grandmother. Then it transferred over to my mother with the salsa and the disco. My mother knows salsa like the back of her hand. That's where I come in as well. My father was more so like disco and 80s hip hop. And as I was growing up in the 90s, it was hip hop, but it was also reggae. So reggae is pretty much like my first love. So, I know Studio One, Rockers, I know all that like the back of my hand. And I gravitate towards, all that music into one. So I feel like a lot of people gravitate towards commercial music. I run the opposite, right? Because I feel like people like particular songs because everyone else like it. I'm the opposite. I like to get into the details of a particular album and do the research on a particular song I like. So, let's just say an album drops next week and, there's 3 songs that everyone knows. I like to listen to the album myself and really dig into the songs that's not really appreciated like that. So I guess that's where the love of music really comes in. When you really get to study the artist himself and the kind of work that he puts in the studio. A lot of people claim they know music, they really don't know much. And so when you're out there getting put to the test, you want to do it for yourself, and it feels good when you actually know your music and you go to these different countries and you can actually relate to these people. So I guess the love really comes from the Caribbean background of my grandparents to my mother with salsa and my father with the hip hop, and then me with all that plus the reggae. So that's where the love comes from. I would have to go with hip hop for one particular reason: the jazz. The foundation of hip hop is jazz music. And when you have your Bob James and you have your Ahmad Jamal, you have your Herbie Hancock, it really, we don't know about these jazz musicians without the hip hop artists putting it or shining light onto it, right? So this is why Jay Dilla is one of the greatest producers because, RIP, he uses music from back in the days, just like every other producer, but he really digs deep into the 70s, right? And he just shines light to it. And I feel like without jazz music, there's no hip hop. A lot of people will sit here and say, Kool Herc is the founder of hip hop. Jamaica's the founder of hip hop. I disagree. Of course, that's a debate that we're going to have forever. But to keep it real, I think it's jazz music. Jazz music is the foundation to hip hop because jazz music was created off the struggle of Black people, and it was a genre of music that was used to express, the struggles and the happiness of Black people at the time during the Renaissance and everything else. Same thing goes with salsa, right? If you look at Carlos Santana, when he started performing in the 70s at I think it was Woodstock, he added a little bit of Latin music with jazz and rock, right? Came out with Maria Maria, and it was like a political movement. Then you have your Fania All-Stars, right? And what people don't realize is when it comes to hip hop or any other music in general, you have to understand that the foundation comes from Africa.